Good morning. All right, looks like we've got a good number of folks on, so we'll go ahead and get started. For those of you who don't know, my name is Chloe Belzak. I am the deputy over grants here at OBM. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So today's goal is to answer kind of three questions. What are you submitting for grants 2026? Where are you submitting it? And when are you submitting it? And then kind of going over some just generic help and support. I just said that, so great. So let's get into it. So what? Basically, there are two major items, deliverables that we need from you for grants. So one is your 925 table, which is going to capture all of the revenue you expect under grants. It is an Excel document in SharePoint, and you need to update the 2025 actuals and your 2026 projected costs. Do not worry about carryover. That is something my team is going to be working on. So y'all just need to worry about what it is in new funding you expect to get in 2026, and then update any actuals for 2025. Likewise, the other thing that you need to do, kind of the equal part of that, is what your revenue or your expenditures are going to be in CBS. So your 2026 planned expenditures. So whatever you're putting under that new projected revenue should equal what is in CBS. And all that data is going to be submitted directly into CBS. One thing, CBS for grants is very similar to how it is for corporate. So if you worked on the corporate side of it, no major changes in how the program itself works. You're just going to be looking up by your program. And personnel will already be loaded in there and need to be edited if that's the case. So kind of going more in depth about the 925 document itself. You're going to be updating column G and column H. So column G is going to have your 2025 actuals. Column H is going to have your 2026 projected revenues, and all of your entitlement funds should stay flat. We've already input that data into the Excel sheet, so you can just pop over those. Don't worry about it. The other thing is these are already all uploaded into your SharePoint folder. If you haven't logged into SharePoint yet or haven't looked at the SharePoint folder for 2026, I suggest doing that. Make sure it's in there. Let me know if it isn't. So that way we can make sure you got what you need. So that is what that is. CBS, again, you're going to basically update your CBS page for your program to match what it is in your 925 sheet. So what you'll see a lot of times if you go in now is if you have personnel on that grant, you're going to see the personnel lines already in there, and you may have to update your non-personnel to match. So let's say if 3 folks on the grant, it's going to already have those people on there if you had them on there in 2025. If you don't want those people on the grant anymore, that's something you're going to have to update and edit. If you're having any questions about the technical process of editing things in CBS, I am not an expert in it. I can mess around in CBS. I'm pretty good at it, but I'm by no means an expert, especially when it comes to personnel. They did have the training on CBS yesterday. I have linked it in the event notes for today's event, as well as in the slides that I sent out. So basically, what most folks will be probably focusing on is updating their non-personnel. And so if you have delegate agency contracts, it's just updating that 135 line. If you have contracts, procurement contracts, it's that 0140 line. If you're buying miscellaneous equipment, et cetera, then you'd update it associated with those different things in the same way that you update for corporate. You would do for grants. We're trying to mimic and align those processes. So we're all doing the same thing all the time. Next, these are the fund codes that you're going to see in CBS and in the 925 table. We've kind of simplified it so there are less. And so we've got it by entitlements, federal grants, COVID grants, state grants, local private grants, and program income. Matches are going to go under your local as well. And I'm going to get more to that in a moment. So again, do not worry about carryover. That is something that, again, my team is going to be doing. We will be inputting that data into CBS. We're going to put it under that 9,000 line we created last year under the carryover reserve line. And we're going to basically anything that whatever our totals were at the beginning of this month is going to be our carryover total. Just so that way we have a consistent point in time reference for carryover kind of moving forward. That's kind of all I got of carryover right now. New grants, anything. So basically between now and when you submit everything on August 8th, any new grants you expect to receive, you can include anything received after you submit it. We will have to go through amendment next year. So just be aware of that. Is we want to only focus on things that we know of as of August 7th. We don't really want to go beyond that and start speculating too crazy. Otherwise, we'll go down to council next year. Cash match. So cash match are going to be in your 925 revenue table and in the finance general request. If you didn't have a cash match last year, then you're not going to see the finance general request sheet in your folder, or if you didn't have any finance general request sheet requests last year. If you have a new program that you know for sure you're going to get as of August 8th, and it requires a cash match and you don't have the sheet, let us know. Let both your grants and your corporate counterparts know, because that is impacting your corporate budget. So if there's anything that is new, that is going to have to be kind of a bigger discussion since it impacts corporate as well. Otherwise, if it is just a normal grant that y'all get with a cash match, just be sure to include it both in the 925 table as well as in the finance general request form. So that way the corporate side of things have access to it. And then last but not least, indirect cost recovery. It's going to be required on all new grants and using your department's indirect cost rate, and any exceptions must be justified to OBM. So that's kind of the what. The where is SharePoint. So you're going to be updating the 925 table in SharePoint. Again, if you pop into SharePoint, you should see your 925 table already uploaded into SharePoint, and you can directly edit the file in SharePoint. So that way any changes you make can be seen by everyone. If you download the file and make any changes and kind of share it around that way, just be conscious that you will have to upload the file back into SharePoint and make sure it is open or shared. I forget what the terminology is in SharePoint. So, so that way everyone has access and can see it. And I kind of here listed, where it is in SharePoint. It's under the department budget requests folder, department library, and then within your individual department, you should have access to it. Okay. And then CBS, same sort of thing as I talked about previously. That is where you're going to be inputting all of your expenditures directly into CBS under those revenue lines that you had in your 925 table. If a line is not in CBS that is in your 925 table, let us know, and we can be sure that gets added in there. Otherwise, everything should be included. The when. So when is everything due? So currently we're kind of in this planning and everything's section. So CBS opened on July 16th. And so currently departments are working on everything. The big deadline for pretty much everything is August 8th. That is also when CBS will close. But so that means you want to get all your data in there and your 925 table in SharePoint. And then in September, we're going to be reviewing everything, and your OBM counterparts will be reaching out to you for prep for budget. Here's just another prettier version of the previous slide. One thing I will note is what we have done over the last 2 years is align the grant schedule to match the corporate schedule. So we're all kind of on the same line. So there's less confusion about when things are due. So whatever you have due for corporate on August 8th, just assume, you know, that means that you're going to have it due for your grants at that same time. Just to make it so it's a little bit smoother of a system and we're not waiting on any items as we go through. So with that, any questions?
Hey, Chloe, it's Grant. I got a question.
Yeah.
Could you maybe discuss, I talked with Julio briefly about this yesterday, but
Yeah.
at least with our 925 table, it seemed like a lot of the programs were consolidated based on
Yes.
CFDA number. Can you maybe
Yes.
just talk about that?
So, I mean, the intention is to simplify it to be more accurate reflection of what it is from the feds. So it's an easier way of understanding what the grant is coming from versus by program. So you guys are kind of unique in that way, that I don't feel like it happens to money in the same capacity to a lot of other folks.
Okay, for mine, maybe I'll just do a draft and get it to you guys.
Yeah, I think that probably will work the best, and then we can kind of work through any issues that you're kind of seeing.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Chloe, it's T here from DK's question.
Hey, yep.
So I was looking at my at our 925 table. I see that even though we had match last year, that line isn't included. Can I go ahead and insert a line? Is that okay on that?
Yeah, go ahead and
Okay.
insert the match line if it's not in there.
Okay.
And then do you guys have the finance general
Yes,
form
we do.
in your folder?
We
You
do.
do?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I'll go ahead and
So
match
yeah.
those two.
Yeah, exactly. We want to make sure that everything kind of speak in the same language. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Since we're cruising, we'll definitely have more time. I only have a few slides left. So if there's any more questions that kind of come up, feel free to raise your hand or just speak out, whatever works. So just kind of some reminders is submit everything in Excel or Word. So it's an editable format. CBS entries, again, we want to make sure they match our 925 tables. Update everything's uploaded by the 8th. And then if you have anything that you're shifting from corporate to grants, make sure you're talking to both your analysts on the corporate side and the grant side, so we both know what's going on. And then if you just kind of want another version of this, all of this is in the manual for the most part, on pages 29 and 30. And then who can help you? So you have CBS questions, CBS help is going to be able to help you with that. Your analyst obviously is going to be able to help you with some CBS questions as well. But if you can't get in or something along those lines, CBS help will also be great. If you have SharePoint issues, a document's missing, you don't have access, only one person has access and someone else needs it, whatever, then reach out to Dennis. And then based on kind of what we're trying to do over on our shop is focus on those federal portfolios. So any specific federal questions I have listed here. Otherwise, your go-to analyst is kind of not changing. So that is the end of everything. Here's my email if you don't have it. Any other questions? Otherwise, we rolled through this and get to budgeting and let me know what you need.